I'm Jon Albon. I'm an ultra runner, obstacle course racer and sky runner. Today we're going to talk about clothing and equipment for an ultra race.
So Jon, talk us, well maybe we'll just have a quick look at the stuff you could take on a normal race day with you, and talk us through some of the detail of why you choose different types of nutrition and things like that. Would be really great.
Yeah, where to start? I think when I race, I try and be really minimalist, just take exactly what I need. So normally that means looking at the kit list and obviously taking that because that's the mandatory gear you need. Normally on a race you'd need maybe a silver foil blanket or a survival bivy bag, so one of those two is normally necessary. Mobile phone, which I think this is one of the smallest you can buy, so yeah. Save grams wherever you can. So that's really cool. They're only £25 or something like that, so really just having one just for races is great. Even if it's not on the kit list, having a phone is always a good idea with emergency numbers already plugged in. And then you're going to need something to carry this stuff, so Salomon's hydration vest is still my favourite, I think, currently. I've been trying some others, but Salomon's is best, and I like to go with the flexi bottles because they're so much easier to refill or swap out or deal with rather than having a bladder. Head torch, it's like a big toss-up with head torches between weight and if you're actually going to be using it, you want something you can see well with. So I mean, I just use that at the weekend. I think that's one of the lightest ones you could use where you're actually going to be able to see what you're doing when you're running along. I think it's 200 lumens, but for anything more than 45 minutes, I think I'd want a better head torch than that. Heart rate monitor, because I always pace through heart rate and keep a check on my heart rate, and it's something I always have whenever I do any sorts of training. Jacket is one of the most important things because it's something you just want to have, so if the temperature drops you can put it on really quickly. Whatever happens, I can just grab it out and put the jacket on over the top of the hydration vest. And I've seen people stopping and trying to take their vest off, put the jacket on, then vest back on again. Oh, then the sun comes out and then reversing. It takes a lot of time, and this way it keeps everything in your bag dry as well. So jacket, that's the Gore-Tex Shake Dry. I think that's actually lighter than most windproof jackets, and that is like the most waterproof jacket I think I know. So that one's been great in races over the last couple of years, and it's so good to have a lightweight jacket that actually works and actually keeps you actually keeps you dry and warm, because you can buy maybe a jacket that's like 1 or 2 grams lighter, but it's about as good as tissue paper. Gloves is maybe, if they're on the kit list, definitely, but then normally I wouldn't bother because I've got the rags instead, but a good pair of gloves is always kind of useful. You'd never really know what the weather's going to be like, so. And maybe a hat, normally I don't, but it's always good. Keep the sun off your face, off the back of your neck. I think the sun can be really detrimental when it's beating down on you. Even if you don't feel that hot, the sun's still working away at you to dehydrate you. 2 things I wouldn't be taking with me, but I'd use before the race is probably good sports tape, maybe strapping your ankles, covering your nipples, things like that, and some lube or body glide just so you can put on bits that you know are going to rub. Because in the week's training before the events, you're going to find out where rubs and where doesn't, so you can put that on those spots. Nutrition wise, the first thing I normally take for an extra long race is an Emoji Min Instant, because I have troubles with my belly. I don't really want to have to go to the toilet during the race, so I've not found it detrimental to performance. And I've heard that if you take 2 for diarrhea and 1 if you don't just want to go to the toilet, so normally as a safety measure I take one of those, or at least have one in my bag with me. And then food. For shorter races, gels work really well, especially the more liquid ones. But in these longer races, you don't really want to carry all that water with you in the gels. So some of the thicker gels, especially like the ones from Cliff, can work really well. You definitely want to test this sort of thing in the weeks before the race, just so you know what works and what doesn't. Then the shot blocks are really good, especially in or jelly type sweets in longer races, because you're actually eating something, so psychologically you kind of get a bit of a boost from that. And then bars, really good to help settle your stomach. Just put something in there so there's not this kind of gel rattling around in your stomach. But in a longer race, you're probably going to want to eat food as well. So normal food, things like crisps, sausage rolls, marzi, whatever you can stomach, and you've got to test this before the race, but you want to get food in you and know that it's going in before you're even tired. I've normally got an alarm one, or I just look at my watch and maybe every 30 minutes or every 45 minutes, make sure some sort of energy goes in. and then just make sure I'm drinking pretty much all the time just to thirst.
And then just on liquids and stuff like that.
Yep.
So would you touched on kind of preferring the kind of front wearing soft bottles and flasks rather than the reservoirs that sit on the back, and what are the kind of benefits? Is it easier at rest stops? Is it support crew that will find that easier? And
I think it's so much easier for you to manage just from drinking and just from feeling how much liquid you've got left. And imagine if you come up to a stream, you want to be able to fill your bottles, whip it out straight away, fill it up. Whereas a Camelback, it's like this bladder on your back. It's like there, you don't really know how much liquid is in it. It's difficult to get out, and it's just a lot more hassle. So I like to have at least 2 500ml bottles, have them on the front, have them accessible all the time, and really be able to fill them. Come into an aid station, you can just throw them at your support crew, get them out, get them refilled. The mouths on the bottles are wider now, so it's easier to put powders in them. It's just a lot of more of a handy solution, I think, rather than having a bladder on the back.
So John, obviously clothing's a really key part on a long endurance event like 100k, staying comfortable in all areas obviously. John, just talk us through a little bit about the kind of preferred clothing that you would use and different types of jackets and stuff that you'd take out on a race day.
Yeah, I mean, my ethos when it comes to clothing is to be as minimalist as possible, but it really performs its function. So Gore is perfect for that because they're really function based and they don't add bells and whistles that aren't necessary, because that's not my style. And also it's got to be comfortable, so no rubbing here and there, so just make sure it works and it's not going to impede you, because at the end of the day you're the engine, you're the thing that's going to be moving, and what you want on you don't really want to make it any more difficult. So jackets first, because that's probably one of the most important bits you're going to have. If the weather does change, you want to have the right jacket to put on to suit the conditions, because you don't want to be hot and sweaty underneath, but you want to be protected from the elements. So if it's really bad weather, I'd go for something like this, which is one of Gore's R7 jackets, and it's really waterproof, so like 28,000 millimeters, whatever, of waterproofness. So I mean, it fits really nicely, it's really waterproof, protects you from the wind, and also breathes really well as well. So even if you're kind of getting hot underneath, you still feel that you get some breathability, because I think the Gore-Tex membranes on the outside now, water just runs off all the time. It doesn't soak into the material at all. It keeps you lighter, but then that also means the material breathes better. Slightly lighter but still really waterproof jacket is what I'd normally take on races, I think, because I'm unsure as to weather, but I can get away with using a slightly lighter jacket. But then my favourite jacket for training especially is this, the Infinium jacket, because they've got a combination of different materials within it. So they've got a breathable mesh on the back, so you breathe a lot, especially out of your back, or if you wear a rucksack, it forms around the rucksack, so it's a lot more comfortable, and under the armpits as well. It's still got tape seams, so still keeps you really protected. They say it's windproof, but it's more waterproof than many other waterproof jackets on the market, so that's a real favourite. And then everything else I use, I just want it to be just like I'm wearing it, but I'm not wearing it, kind of. So pair of shorts, R7 shorts there. They've got a little bit of a high band actually, which is nice. So it makes the shorts sit quite nicely on the hips, and they've got a few little pockets there, so you can put some emerging bits of nutrition in there. So I'd either go for one of those two. They're both just slightly different versions. Really handy bit of kit. Normally I wear it around my wrist. You can put it on your head, keep the sun off the back of your neck, make it wet and cool yourself down. Use it on your hands if you're going to be going up snow. Really useful. Hotter conditions, a vest. Colder conditions, gloves, having some socks. These are actually really important to test. You don't really think too much about socks, but they can make a massive difference, almost as much as this shoe itself that you're going to be wearing. A nice warming hat, to keep the wind off your head as well. If you can have a windproof one, that can be quite good, but one that still breathes, and maybe a cap, just to keep the sun out your eyes.